Morning world, it's the 27th of September 2022. It's about 10 to 8 in the morning. This is the first of three videos. A few of you have written to me from the Republic of Iran about what's going on in your country. I dare not make any type of biased comments about whether I think what's going on is a good thing or a bad thing, for a number of different reasons, of which aren't going to take too much intelligence to think about why. But I am safe on astrological grounds. There is a horoscope for Iran. Iran came into existence, we know this, the entity that we now know as Iran was formed on the 1st of April 1979. There are two different birth times. One, in the Book of World Horoscopes, which is the authoritative text on countries' horoscopes, is that Ayatollah Khomeini pronounced the People's Democratic Republic of Iran just around or fractionally after 3 p.m. on the 1st of April 1979. However, many other authorities quote Iran as starting just after midnight Iran time on the 1st of April 1979. There's a difference in that in both these cases, whilst the sun is in Aries, with the 3 p.m. chart, the moon is in Gemini, and with the midnight chart, the moon is at the end of Taurus. I prefer the 3 p.m. chart. It makes sense. The Ayatollah Khomeini was not going to stand up at just after midnight, 1 a.m. local time, and make an announcement. It's much more likely to do it 3 p.m. in the afternoon, which makes Iran Aries with Gemini moon and Leo rising. Now, there's a couple of things worthy of note. There's three things worthy of note in the chart of Iran. Firstly, Chiron on the midheaven, in the ninth house, but on the midheaven. Ninth house deals with philosophies, beliefs, truths, religion, dogma, theology, the way we walk our talk. And with Chiron on the midheaven, but in the ninth house, it suggests a fundamental flaw or the potential for shooting oneself in the foot or self-sabotage around the way we project our belief systems, dogma, theology, and religion. However, the Chiron on the midheaven does not receive any difficult aspects. So I suggest in this case, I understand why Iran says, look, our belief systems are ours, mind your own business. The moon in Iran's chart at 6 degrees, 7 degrees of Gemini is square to the opposition of Venus to Saturn. And here we come to the paradox of Iran's chart. It might be in Aries, but it's only got the sun in Aries. It's got Mercury and Venus and Mars and Ceres in Pisces. And then, to act as a counterbalance, Saturn and the North Node in Virgo. Saturn and the North Node together in the same sign suggest a kind of weightiness, a sense of gravity, and the fact that it's opposite the sign that's got Venus, Mercury and Mars in suggests that with that Mercury, Venus, Mars and Ceres in Pisces, the blind faith, if you like, of Pisces is part of Iran's culture, in that you will believe what you're told, you will believe in everything that we tell you to believe, or else you're in trouble. And the Saturn and the North Node opposite all of this in Virgo is going to be seen as the authority being brought to bear. However, another way of looking at the same energy suggests that although Iran's chart is in Aries, with all of that stuff in Pisces, the role of the deep role of the divine feminine here is something that's perhaps yet to reach fruition. I suggest that Iran's future is much more in the hands of its women than the men would like to admit, either to themselves or to the world. And the fact that the moon in Gemini, in the 10th house of career, in the 10th house of visibility and public image, is square to Saturn and square to Venus, suggests that the way Iran communicates about itself into the outside world and the way it markets and promotes and projects itself into the outside world, there is an element of dichotomy with that moon in Gemini. So again, it's don't do what I do, do what I say, or something like that. And with that square from the moon to Saturn and Venus, this is difficult. Now, in terms of events, well, on the one hand, there are no major sudden changes coming up in the immediate near future, which I know is going to disappoint a lot of people. But medium term, different story. All of next year, Neptune in the sky will be sitting on top of Iran's Mars, which in Iran's chart, Mars is not a major role player, so I'm not too worried by this. Pluto will be opposite its Jupiter, which is going to question and challenge its ideas around theology, dogma and belief systems. Jupiter will pass on Iran's sun around late February, early March. And if there are going to be sudden escalations, that's when I expect it to happen. Because shortly after that, from mid-March onwards, we enter into a 9-month period where Saturn in the sky will be square to Iran's Venus and opposite Iran's moon. So I suggest that rather than being a new revolution, that there will be somewhat of a more, sorry to say, brutal repression of protests in the short term, but that in the medium long term, especially the women are going to be able to gradually have a stronger and stronger effect over the coming year. I expect a gradual kind of war of attrition where over next year there's going to be steadily more and more chipping away, grinding away at the old structures. And by the end of next year, I expect to see Iran in a very different place and hopefully a lot more tolerant, open and democratic place. And of course, that would be nice. Never hold your breath. Never. As I get older, I become not so much less optimistic and more pessimistic, but a slightly more cynical. And when a bunch of old men in skirts who set themselves up as the font of all wisdom have power, in my knowledge of history and experience, they don't let go of it until they're absolutely forced. And that's where the women come in. The women will end up being the tool of change in Iran. And not a moment too soon. Catch you later, world.